All right, what's up, everybody? This is the Bite Size Weekly podcast, and my name's Harish.
Soham.
And yeah, so new year, right? New us, hopefully, right? um, I like the quote, especially start the year off negative or something. What do you know the quote I'm talking about? Start the year off pot negative, right? But
Right. Then
unfortunately for me, I started off the year positive,
yeah.
and I tested positive for COVID. So yeah, dude, honestly, it wasn't that bad because I think I was pretty asymptomatic.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't be pretty asymptomatic. I was basically asymptomatic, right?
Right.
Um and just quarantined right for a bit. But other than that, winter break, well, that's basically what happened for me. What about you, dude? How have you been?
I've been good. Didn't get the Rona. But I feel like I had it at some point. It's been 2 years. There's no way. There's no way. So
No, you just like you start sneezing, you think to yourself, do I have corona? Do I
yeah, I
have COVID?
mean, there was like a point in time, I think like over the summer where I was like sitting at home, I wasn't doing anything. I just had a cold out of nowhere. And I was like, yeah, this I
Might be
got
COVID, dude.
yeah.
No, the funny thing is like right after the New Year's, right? I was just telling myself, I was like, um, do I have COVID? Right? Like I felt a stuffy nose, right? I was like,
Mhm.
right, and I started getting headaches and stuff, and I was like, probably have COVID. And then basically I
Yep.
test like a week later for some reason because I thought, oh, it's probably nothing, right? It's
Yeah.
just me being over dramatic. And then I honestly that day I thought I would test negative, and I went in, and then we took a rapid test, and it was like positive. I was like, what?
Oof.
Right? And that just changed everything,
Right,
And
right. So you have to
but
like stay home and everything, like going back virtual.
mm,
In terms of school.
oh, this is a quote: "Stay positive, test negative." That's what it was.
Yes.
Didn't do that. No, it's fun. It's
And you
it's fun.
stayed positive and you were positive and
Yeah.
but
So yeah, it's almost been, I think, 2, 3 months since the last podcast. So it's good to be back, right?
yep,
And it's crazy to think that we're almost a year in,
yep,
right, to our podcast, which is, I think we started last February or March,
yep.
and we're coming back. It's about the 10-month mark. So
Mhm.
go us, I guess, right?
It's actually insane. I mean, if you think about it, like last year, at this time, at this time, we were just starting junior year, right?
Mm,
Or I mean, it was crazy because we were like stressed out. We were like, college, 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 and now we've gotten pretty much. I've gotten almost all my acceptances in. I'm like chilling right now. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And if you like listen to our previous podcast, you can see like the progression of like our state. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like,
I think I was watching the last podcast, and then you
yeah,
were like, "Oh, I have my SAT next Saturday," and then just looking at that just made me laugh so much because
yeah,
now we're done with it, dude. We're
I'm done.
done. Right?
And now thinking
So,
about the SAT, I'm just like cringing. I'm like, I'm never gonna do something like that ever again.
uh,
But yeah,
see,
we're like
we
done with
say
that.
that, but if we
Yeah.
say that, but there's always gonna be
You
more.
always got you always got like what is it? Like, the GMAT and stuff
Yeah,
for grad
I mean,
school. And yeah. There's always tests in life.
we'll come we'll deal with everything at a time,
Yeah.
one at a time. But yeah, it is crazy to think we're almost done with. I mean, we're basically done with college apps, I think, right?
Yeah.
I finished my applications and almost. I'm still waiting for a couple colleges to come back, but crazy to think 4 more years we graduate and we
Yep.
go to college, right?
Yep.
New chapter in life. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And something else that is insane is Djokovic. I'm sorry, I just had to do a quick change. So Novak Djokovic. I'm not sure if you've heard about some of his recent events or his current situation, but he's currently not allowed to play in the Australian Open,
Mhm.
right? And is actually waiting. I think he's quarantining in a hotel.
Mhm.
Um, there's something about the Australian immigration, yeah, revoking his visa, right?
Right.
And it's insane to think like big celebrities like this also have the same, they have to still do the same thing we do, right? We have
Yeah.
to still, get vaccinated. I mean, it's not, of course, mandate, but it's, you might as well, right? You
Yep.
just might as well. Um, and other players, what something that like I was just reading up on, Rafael Nadal, he said, regardless of whether I agree on some things with Djokovic, without any doubt, justice has spoken. Right.
Mhm.
I mean, those guys are good friends too. Like the
Yeah.
fact that like even his best friend is telling him like, it's just,
Yeah.
if you make decisions like that,
Right.
you're gonna end up
And
getting,
so what happened? He is not vaccinated. Is that like that's the thing?
yeah, he's basically not vaccinated because of personal reasons, right?
Right.
But honestly, what's the worst that it could do, right? Like you've been taking flu shots,
Yeah.
hopefully, right?
It's crazy to me because if you think about it, Djokovic, I mean, he's the sort of like, I mean, it's Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, and like there are a couple others. They're like they are the face of tennis, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so and the Australian Open, it's held every year, and so so when he does get deported, you can't come back for 3 years. So you can't play in the Australian Open for the next 3 years. And to me, somebody like Djokovic, who's like a career, like no doubt a career guy, obviously he's Djokovic, is going to take such a risk and jeopardize all of these things just because of that.
And it
So I
also
feel
like,
like there's a reason, there's some sort of reason why that's not happening, because he's just too big. He's just too big of a player to not care about, what I mean? Like to not just care about his
and the
career.
thing is, interesting point you made is that he is the face of tennis, right?
Right.
And the amount of impact he has on children, parents, right? Like his influence spreads throughout the people as well,
Right.
right? So if he's not making smart decisions, right, it impacts, his audience, right? His the people that he's trying to play for, right?
Mhm.
And it's sad to see that like people like him, right? If he simply just could have followed the rules, right? Which is, just getting vaccinated or skipping the
Yep.
tournament, right? Now you have to deal with the repercussions,
Right.
right? Which
I feel
is,
like that's another thing is that, so I think another what he stated was where there was some sort of appeal that it was like a medical reason as well. So I feel like you can skip this one. If you just skip this one, right? Then you can play next year and the year after that. But if you continue to stay and like like do try to stay in Australia, you can get deported, and that just means more trouble for you, right? And
yeah,
at this point, if you can't play anyway, what's the point? And that
because
doesn't make sense to me.
even though he's a celebrity, he's not some special case, right? he
Mhm.
he doesn't get to get let off with, everybody else is going through the same thing as him, right?
Yep.
And people have been through way worse, right?
Right.
Some people have it easy, like I did, right? Honestly, but a lot of other people have it so much
Right.
worse.
Yeah, and I feel like also another point I feel like is like the Australian government. They're kind of using this case as like the face of what they'll do to anybody who's not going to follow the rules, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if it's just an ordinary person who's going and they, take away their visa or whatever, it's not going to make much of an impact. It's not going to be like, "Oh, like they're serious about it." But, like they deport Djokovic and everyone knows they're not playing around, right? So that's
Sends a
another
big message. It
sends
sends
a
a
big
big
message
message
for
to,
sure. So I feel like whatever the reason is, I'm not saying he shouldn't, like I feel like he should, and he, the he's maintaining, as far as I know, he's maintaining the rules, but the only discrepancy was that he had gone in without so I think what he landed, and then he'd already gotten a sort of exemption from the government before, but then they sort of came back and said, no, we can't allow it. And that's what he's appealing to right now.
Mm,
So he had obtained a exemption because he had turned, I think he was positive, and then after he like tested negative, there was some sort of, you need the vaccine, even, you need the vaccine, and he was not able to follow that. I think that's what
yeah,
it's
right.
complicated now because they're appealing the case, like his lawyers are. It's a big thing. And the lawyers on their side is saying like they immediately, like after about like a 14-hour flight, the immigration officials, they came and they just out of nowhere told him that your like visa's canceled. And that's what I think, that's the case that the lawyers are trying to fight now, is that like mistreatment at the airport. um and so it's like we'll see, like we'll see what happens. um but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nick Kyrgios said, right? He's a human at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, right? And you know, it's quite embarrassing for a guy like him, right,
Yeah.
to be doing such a thing, right? It's also something else Nick Kyrgios said too, right?
Right.
And big, big, Andy Murray, right? I think everyone else is shocked by it, to be
Mhm.
honest. Like everybody has something to say because he's such a big face in the tennis world, right? And not just the tennis world, but he has such a big impact. And if someone like this just isn't following, guidelines, right, then it ends up screwing up a lot of what could have been, great entertainment, right,
Yeah.
for others, right?
So I
It's also,
think, yeah, I think what's happening now too is that he, so I think they let him in now.
mm,
Just based on the premise that a judge had said that he was like the officials, immigration officials had not properly followed procedure.
mm,
That's what I'm seeing right now.
mm, mm,
And he was positive mid-December. And that's, I think, the main point what they're trying to make is that he was positive. Um, and that's, I think if he wasn't, obviously he hadn't tested positive, that wouldn't be an issue. I don't know. He probably has passed over it. He probably doesn't have it anymore. But it still stands. Like the rule still stands. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do,
Yeah.
right? But um, you know, that's how life is. And speaking of life, right?
Yeah.
Um, life is changing dramatically, right?
Absolutely.
And our next topic is actually the metaverse, right?
Yes.
um as you can see my background. But life is going virtual, or at least might be, right?
Yeah.
So do you have anything to say?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the computers and AI and whatnot, this is the future. There's no getting out of it. It's a tool, and you just got to use it, right? Like you have to adapt to it, and there's no way that you can't. And I
Yeah,
feel like now more than ever, everything that you do in any profession, any topic, aspect of life, there's a computer involved. Like you can go into finance and you'll still need to work with software that deals with financial modeling and analysis and stuff like that, data analysis. You can go into biology and you can use, you know, um, analyze strands of DNA using a computer. You can go to anything you need a computer. I feel like this, like the metaverse, it's a sort of like a double-edged sword, if you know what I mean. Because the technology that is proposed, it's amazing. Like if you look at it, it's
straight out of Ready Player One,
right.
right?
Like there's a, but on the other side, it's like how much control would that enable Facebook to already have? They already have. Facebook is already
That's a
powerful.
great point. Yeah, I mean, they already have so much details about our privacy and
Yeah,
you know
there was. I mean,
it,
data, and it's not just Facebook. It's what you can. It's just data, right? Um, that's the main thing. Like data is everything. There's actually a case where a so it's funny, but it's also kind of scary at the same time. It's like there was a teenager who was, you know, uh she was just, you know, chilling, and she was online shopping, right? And
Yep.
so what her parents noticed was that Target, uh I don't want to get sued for defamation. It was a company that she was shopping from, uh was sending her a lot of coupons regarding parenting. So they were sending her a lot of coupons regarding you know, cribs, baby cribs, diapers, and you know, stuff like that. Baby oil, baby powder, and you know, maternity books and stuff like that. They're like, why are you sending this to my kid? She's a teenager, right? And so what happened was the company apologized, and then 1 week later, the girl turned out to be pregnant. And the way they figured it out, and it was a computer algorithm, was that anytime you online shop, right? Anytime you're shopping online, they will analyze what you're searching up. And the system of the company system, the algorithm had flagged certain search items that she was searching up
I mean, on
as something a person who was going to be pregnant would search up. Because if you look at it, like, you know, you get hormonal surges, right, when you're pregnant, so your
yeah.
hormone levels are crazy. And so if you're searching up stuff in that regard, then the computer doesn't know any better. The computer is like, okay, I'm getting a lot of the algorithm saying, okay, I'm getting these searches, and these key words are related to maternity, so I'm going to give coupons. I'm going to advertise maternal products. So Target, or not Target, but like, I don't know what the company was, but the company knew about her being pregnant before she did,
It's,
just
I
based on a
mean,
computer. Like,
it's scary what the internet can do, right? I mean, I think we talked about this in one of our other podcasts as well, right? But Facebook, Google, right? So many other companies have so much information about us, and it's, you
yeah,
know, honestly scary. But the metaverse takes it to another level,
yep,
right? You, because you're actually entering private, very private details, right? And you don't know, right? You don't know what, it's so new, right? And there are two looks on this. Either you could take advantage of it, right, and become, I don't know, the next big person on the metaverse, right? Like I was seeing this TikTok and it was like, oh, take advantage of the metaverse while it's still so new, right? So you can become this popular man or whatever, you know,
yeah,
later on in life. But there's also this look that the metaverse is, of course, bad, right?
yep,
There it's gonna disrupt way of life, right? Um Nobody wants it. There though, you know, in my opinion on the metaverse is I don't I don't feel comfortable,
yeah,
right? I don't feel comfortable giving out information like that. People say it might just be like a video game, right? Like just VR life, but is
yep,
that really what you want? Right? You can just go outside, talk to people, right?
yeah,
You can get a
exactly.
job.
Yep. And it's not even about what you're willing to give. It's that, I mean, it's kind of genius in a way that you don't even know like what you are giving out, because you're not giving anything. You're just doing what you're doing, and somebody else is analyzing that, right? Right. So it's not like, in a way, it's like it's ethical, because you're just going about your day, right? And if somebody were to analyze exactly what you were doing, you know, on their website, and they were just able to come up with a quick math algorithm, whatever, formula, and figure out, okay, these are your wants, needs, desires, and they're able to do that. I mean, that can be used for good, but also it's not, I mean, this is like a business, right? They're there to make money at the end of the day. Um,
As per the words of Mark Zuckerberg, right? It's most simply defined as a virtual world where
yep,
people can socialize, work, and play, right?
yep.
In my mind,
Go outside, touch some grass, dude. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
you could do that, pretty regularly and at home with your friends. Just
right.
if you want to play something, right?
Yeah,
It's not
I
that hard.
mean,
If you
so
want to
this is
work, get a job.
right. And this is where you have to, this is where I think in history we're at a time where it's so interesting to see because if you think about it, there hasn't been any there, I mean, to my knowledge, any innovation that has come along, it's always been use it to the fullest of extent, right? So you talk about machines, right? You talk about the first wheel. The wheel was invented and then everyone used it because it was so convenient, right? Then it got a bit more advanced. Then it got to like, whatever sort of agricultural farming equipment, right? And it's like, it's great. Yeah, we got farming equipment. We can make more crop than ever before. Now, then it got to like machines. Like, yeah, I can use a machine to literally like do this, do that, right? Like the early machinery that was used in the factories during the Industrial Revolution. And so it's always like, something is innovation has happened and it was used to the fullest of extent. Now we're coming at a point where we're creating this innovation, but we're not comfortable because it's getting so advanced that we have to kind of take a step back and actually limit ourselves from getting that advanced, right?
See, I mean, the whole idea and point of technology is convenience, right? We
Right.
made the wheel because we get places faster, right? We
Yeah.
made technology and machines, right, to get things done quicker,
Yeah.
right? And the most simplest way I can put it, right, the metaverse, it's it's too convenient. Like we
Yeah.
need a point in which
It's,
we can, you know,
I feel like it's too
we have to
advanced.
go outside, right?
Yeah,
We
I feel like
need
it'll be so advanced to a point where there's just not going to be any like and I don't mean like I don't think it's gonna immediately become like a situation like Ready Player One, right? Like it's not gonna
like
be
where the earth is so overpopulated, right? Like
right,
it's just not the time. We don't need it, right? we
right,
we honestly we have enough space to go
yeah,
outside and walk, right? We don't
yeah,
need a
exactly,
virtual area to work, socialize, and play.
yeah,
Honestly, it's too early, but I mean, I'm happy that they're coming up with the technology
yeah,
now so that
and
generations future can maybe use it.
that, and I feel like we don't need to use it for what they're like. This there are a couple things, right? You can use this for so many reasons. You can use this like um for space reasons, right? Like if you're when we're trying to colonize Mars or something, there's so many applications. You can use this, for so many different things. But if you're using this to replace your life, like to replace your lifestyle completely, to change the world you're living in into a virtual world, I don't see the point in that. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna make it more convenient. This we're not talking about convenient. We're talking about just throwing about what we have and changing it. And it's gonna get to that level, right?
Yeah.
It's not gonna be like that instantly. Right now, it's just a cool like, oh, virtual world and whatever. But it's
It's
gonna
a
get
big
like that.
discussion,
It's
right? It's
gonna
just
get
a big
yeah. And if you think about it, when was the computer invented? It was like barely 150 years ago, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like
Just about.
we got from barely 100 making a computer from barely 150 years ago, where literally the only thing was like using electronic switches to operate algorithms, right? That's basically what it was, to this. And who knows what it can do in the future, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like we need to have like certain like regulations,
Boundaries, honestly. I think a limit
boundaries
on
on it.
ourselves. Right?
And it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that because what person in their right mind would put a boundary on something that could be so useful? But also, you can't you have to put a boundary on. It's double edged. It can be useful and it also can be harmful. So if you're trying to put a boundary on trying to limit its harmfulness, you're also putting a boundary on its usefulness, right? So convincing people to do that is going to be hard because people are going to be like, you can make one argument about why it's bad. You can make 10 arguments about why it's good.
Yeah, I
And
mean, we have the phone, right? Like
yeah,
we use the phone so much, and it was such a new idea at the beginning, right? People, of course, were like, "Oh, we can go talk to each other in person," but eventually we got used to it. It kept
yeah,
going, it kept upgrading, right? And we kept getting more and more. Now everybody has a phone,
yeah,
right? Even like the 2-year-old next door, right, has a
yeah.
phone, right? Like,
It's like
um,
they're called, like, what are they called? The iPad generation.
yeah,
Have you seen these?
yeah,
Like, I've met some of these kids, and back in the day when we were, I mean, we had technology, like, but we were, our experience was falling down from our bike, scraping our knee on. You know how bad the sidewalk was? Like, scraping your knee on the sidewalk was just like, oh my
dude,
god.
I have a crazy story. So I was like, once I was biking, and it was the biggest hill right in my
Yeah,
neighborhood, right? So I was like, you know what? I usually do it, right? So I was like, why not? Why not
yeah,
again? But this time I was by myself, no friends, and I was just
right.
bored. So it was like a yellow Tomahawk bike or whatever,
Mm,
right? And it's one of those brakes where if you push backwards, right,
yeah.
it'll break, right? Not like
Oh,
those hand grip brakes, right?
right.
So I was going down the hill, and then I'm coming to the end, and I try to brake, so I move my pedals backwards, and to my surprise, my chain breaks,
Oh,
right? And then I'm like, what the hell do I do? And for some reason, in my
yeah, you can't
stupid
even
head,
break because like the
yeah,
chain is like the brake, right? Like,
and the thing is, I didn't realize I could put my leg down. I mean, I was going fast, right? So I was
like,
kind of scared.
yeah,
So I ended up crashing straight into the apartment, right? Into their balcony. It was like an open patio,
right,
right? So their what's it? It's one of those screen doors, right?
right, right.
Basically that broke, and I was in their house, right? For
No
a
way.
good 2 minutes, right? I was just like, "What's up, guys?" Right? But I was also I think I scraped my knee and my elbow, right? And
Oh,
I
I
just
mean,
went home
those are
like,
the things that really make, like, I mean, experiences now, like, you know what I mean? Like smelling like the grass in the morning and like playing with your friends on a Saturday and going up until you're having so much fun. You look up, it's like dark, and you're like, oh crap, I gotta be home, right?
yeah, yeah,
You know what I
dude.
mean?
And getting up in
And
the morning, just seeing like the
yeah,
sun, like stuff like that. Like we lose that when we
yeah. And
start
now it's
doing it.
becoming now like their experience of what we felt like was our experience. Like these kids now, they're like, my head's aching because I'm looking at the iPad for 8 hours a day. Now I need glasses at the age of 4 because
Yeah,
and I mean, they're gonna be smart in terms of computers, but like at the end of the day, we still live on Earth. There's still nature. This is
yeah,
still, like
yeah,
we don't live
yeah,
in a cyber world. We live in a physical world, and computers are a tool, but
yeah,
doesn't mean they have to be our entire life. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. That's exactly right. Like honestly, like we just don't need it yet, right? It's an
Yeah.
idea that's evolving. Good for Mark Zuckerberg and them.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, honestly, we need time, right? We need time to adjust, right? It's again, right? The computer is just a tool,
Yeah.
right? And we use it for our success, but we need to learn how to use it in moderation. And in fact, I think
Yeah.
we need a break, right? Like we need some sort of we've been in the pandemic for so long, right?
Yeah.
That we've only been glued to our screens, right? And we need to
Yeah.
go back to regular life, right?
Right.
Whenever it comes.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like like every other application, like, video games is one of those things that it's like, you're not really using it any apart from just pure entertainment, right? I think that's I feel like a parent saying this, but like you know what I mean? Like like what this is, like if you're working, playing, and doing everything on Meta, I'm kind of like it's the same thing as if you're sitting 8 hours a day and playing Call of Duty and like, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like computers, they're used to, solve problems that we can't or we don't have enough time to, right? Like that's why we use computers. We use it to solve math, but that's what it is, a problem solving machine. It's used to solve complex algorithms that we could do. It'll just take us a longer time. That's what a computer is. That's it. And I think we should keep that in mind, right? I don't
Yeah.
think that computers should be our physical world or our
Mm.
world. It should be we like at the end of the day, we're humans, and humans, we are our enjoyment comes from being out in nature, right?
With
From
other
doing
people,
with
right?
other
Either
people,
with ourselves, right? Like,
right?
maybe just walking by yourself,
Yeah. And I don't
there's
think
so many other things.
that's going to change no matter how advanced our technology gets, because evolutionarily, like, we're still humans. We still have evolved to be like with the nature. So it's not like we're going to get so high tech one day and that we're just all our instincts as humans is just going to disappear and we can be perfectly happy in a virtual world. It's just not going to happen. We still need to get out there. We still need to work up a sweat. We still need to, you know,
There's
be out.
it's basic. It's basic,
Yeah.
human function, right?
I don't think
But
people have like, I'm pretty sure people have seen more of the virtual world than the actual world, right? Some of these kids nowadays, they've been like freaking, I've seen, like, I was wearing a VR headset once. I was in Jurassic Park. I was like here, I was at, some island somewhere. I was in the desert. I'm like, I could, that's fine. But also, make an effort to actually go to those places because those places exist, you know.
I don't know about Jurassic Park, but no,
I don't
I'm
know about
kidding.
Jurassic Park. Yeah.
But dude, yeah. Speaking of movies, switching the topic a little bit. What's some new movies you've been watching?
well, Spider-Man, obviously. That's not it's
Yeah.
the elephant in the room. We're talking about movies.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning, right? I'm gonna say this once. All right. I just if you haven't watched it, get out of here. You don't
Yeah.
wanna ruin it. But how'd you think? I mean, it was pretty. It was a good movie. I feel like the plot was good, but I feel like it was overhyped because of Andrew and Toby.
Honestly, like I was hearing rumors, right? Like
Yeah,
beforehand itself, like, oh, Andrew, Garfield and Tobey Maguire are gonna be in Spider-Man. And honestly, I was like, nah, right? Like
yeah,
their contracts are over, they're not coming
yeah,
back, right? And and actually right now, Spider-Man is the 11th movie. I think it's the 11th movie of all time, something like that. It's
yeah.
crazy, right?
Something incredible.
And the revenue they made from it, but either way, yeah. So when I first watched it, and then I saw Ned, he had the ring, right? I couldn't tell. He was
Yep.
like, he was doing the thing, he was doing his little Doctor Strange stuff, and then both Spider-Mans appear out of nowhere, and I'm like, what?
I was pretty hyped.
What?
I mean,
Dude,
the theater erupted for me. Like, when I
yeah,
went,
dude.
everyone was like crazy.
Okay, I went twice, right? And this is
Oh,
what I
same.
saw. The first time, right, when I went, like as soon as the movie released, everybody got up and started clapping, like,
Yeah.
everything. The second time I went, like 2 weeks afterwards, the crowd just like, oh, haha, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Like I'm like, what? Yeah, like
Right. Like the plot, like if you look at the plot, right, without Andrew, without Toby, no other extra hype stuff was basically he had a couple of villains that he knew were bad guys because he knew, like, that was my problem with it, is like he knew they were bad guys, right? Because like they told him that they were fighting Spider-Man in another world. And if you're fighting Spider-Man, chances are you're a bad guy, right?
hmm.
And you're gonna send them back, you're gonna kill him, whatever. That's a whole moral issue.
I mean, but
But I mean,
that's every Marvel movie, right? Like, of
yeah, I feel
course there's
like
gonna be.
not even that. Like, remember Iron Man? Remember the first couple of, like, some of the first Iron Man movies where it's like like in Iron Man 1, there was that one scene where he goes back to uh like Afghanistan or something where like the terrorists are, and he just goes there and he just obliterates everybody. He kills like 15 terrorists that day.
I mean,
Like, he just like shoots a missile at them, and that's that.
okay. it's like one of those scenes. Like I remember one of the Iron Mans. I don't know if it was Iron Man 3, but like it was like where all of his suits come out, right, and they start fighting. It was one of those types of moments when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire appeared, right? That it was like that, like nostalgia of feeling like,
Yeah.
oh, this is epic, right? And Endgame, where I forgot what it was, but when everybody started appearing, right,
Yeah.
from the portals and stuff, all of the heroes just ready to fight,
Yeah.
right? That was also one of those moments. And honestly, and then in Spider-Man, the ending, I think what made it so good was that
The ending. Yeah.
when, yeah, where they all three Spider-Man suited up
Yeah.
and they all jumped and fought, right? It was
Yep.
like that one scene where all of them were just flying and it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
But the thing is, yeah, of course it's gonna have that basic, a villain hero
Yeah.
plot, but it's what the people like, right? You got to
Yeah.
give it to them. So I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, I
um,
feel yeah, there's a lot of I mean, they're mostly positive. Don't get me wrong. There's mostly positives about the movie. I just had an issue with the central plot of the movie wasn't as strong as I'd like it to be because it's not it was weird because there was not one villain. Like, it wasn't like you're oh, this guy's gonna do this, I'm gonna have to fight him. It was more like his own personal moral journey, and that's fine. Um, but I think what really made the movie was Tom Holland's performance and Andrew Garfield's performance, and obviously, Toby great, obviously all the time. But I felt like those two were awesome. Like when I'm gonna give another spoiler warning when Aunt May died. Like the acting by Tom Holland was awesome. Like that really stood out to me.
yeah, yeah,
And also Andrew Garfield's acting was when he was giving Peter advice, like our Peter, like current Peter advice about like great power and responsibility. Like I felt that was a very powerful scene. Like
See,
where
the
he
thing
was,
is, Andrew Garfield, right? We've seen it in other movies as well, but
yeah,
Spider-Man in his series, his mask didn't
mm,
move, right? His eyes and expressions, they
yeah,
they weren't the same. So he had to act out every single thing, right?
yeah,
Andrew Garfield, because whenever Spider-Man was, scared, surprised or something, you see like Tom
like
Holland's
yeah,
his eyes move, right?
it's easier to
Um
do that than it is
right,
to
it's
like
easier to do it in the
yeah,
movie, right? But
absolutely.
in his time, he had to act surprised, and that's hard to do when you're fully, masked up with no facial expressions, but he
That's
does
why
a
you'll
great
see he
job of
moves
it.
around a lot, right? Like he's like when he's surprised, Tom Holland can just like move his eyes up or something, and he's like he has to be like, oh my god, I'm surprised. Like you know what I mean? Like it's a lot
Yeah,
harder to
yeah,
do that. But I
yeah.
was also like like when he was giving the advice to Tom Holland, he was the way he was doing that. You can really feel like you can feel from both Toby and from Andrew Garfield about the experience that they have. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It wasn't like just that they were there. It felt like they had actually come out of their movies and they actually had those experiences and they're actually giving that wisdom to Tom, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It wasn't just a cameo that, oh, look, here I am. I was in another movie. Now I'm here. Cool. But it actually felt like the weight and importance of it. And when he saved MJ, right? With the same like
with the scene, yeah, where
yeah.
they,
Man, that got me. That part got me. Like
yeah,
just seeing
yeah.
his face, he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm good. Like he was like he remembered Gwen. He was like,
Yeah, he's like,
man,
I
that
need to do the
was
same thing.
and
Honestly,
yeah.
the only thing that really tripped me up was, so in Andrew Garfield's universe, right? We have J. Jonah Jameson,
Yep.
right? The Daily Bugle reporter, right?
Yep.
Who hates Spider-Man. And then in Tom Holland's universe, we have the same character playing the same role, right?
Yeah, you have in
Eh,
Toby too, right? You have in
Right?
so McGuire's, remember?
Um,
He was the same guy. That's
I
the
didn't. I
one
don't. Yeah,
that's the
that's
one
okay.
guy that's been there throughout.
Okay, yeah, that just proves my point. If he was in Tobey Maguire's thing too, he was
Yeah.
the only character that stayed the same throughout all three universes,
Yeah.
and that is, uh,
Yeah.
I guess you could say an Easter egg, right? Like, or
Yeah.
not an Easter egg, but like a discrepancy among like the
Yeah.
Marvel MCU
I feel like
universe.
it
Like,
just happened. Like they just got the same actor to play it
yeah,
and
yeah, they changed up like the Aunt
yeah.
Mays. Like, we got the oldest Aunt May for what's it?
Uh, I think we got it for
I
Andrew
forgot, but
Garfield.
yeah, yeah. And then Toby
I don't remember.
Maguire, I forgot which one was which, but basically Aunt May just kept getting younger, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
And then now we got the best one.
yeah.
But
Um, dude. Oh, Tom Holland's performance at the end too. Like, remember when he went back to the coffee shop
yeah,
where
yeah,
and he didn't remember, and it was crazy like seeing his performance as an actor about how he knows that they don't know, and he's just there and he's like surprised. I felt like that was really good acting by
mm,
Tom. He's a good actor in general. I mean, I feel he's really young. He's like 25 now, but
yeah.
he's done a lot of good movie. He's not just your typical superhero guy. He's done same thing with Andrew Garfield. You know, he's awesome. Andrew Garfield's Oscar nominated too, right? Like
Yeah.
for got nominated for what's the movie? Hacksaw Ridge, where he was
Oh yeah, dude, that was
remember
such a great movie, dude. I loved it, right? Like,
Hacksaw Ridge. Oh man,
the medic, right?
yeah.
The,
Oh
the
man, that
one who
was a
wouldn't
great
do,
movie.
the one who wouldn't pick up a gun, right? I think
Yeah,
that's what it was about. That
yeah.
was honestly such a great. But I think, how long has it been since we started?
I got no idea, but I feel like it's been a little less than an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
good.
well, thank you guys for watching, right? Honestly, I think it's good to be back, all right, after such a long time. And
Absolutely.
hope you guys tune into the next one, and peace.
Peace.